God created this beautiful planet. He gave us life. He gave animals life. He breathed life into us. He breathed life into them. He created this beautiful place, and he gives us one planet, one body, and we tend to destroy it. I don't know why, but we do. And he gave us every tool, every single tool, to make it right. And we can make it right. Hey everyone, fixing to leave this little place, Skyline Cottages. It was a nice little stop, and gonna head down to the Rocky Mountain National Park. Got my green smoothie this morning. I want to take one last look around. Look at this. That's what we listened to all night. We cracked the window and heard the river running. It was absolutely beautiful. But yeah, we're just gonna head up there. We'll take you along for the ride. We'll go see Bear Lake and a couple of those spots, and hopefully all the passes will be open so we can get up there and see some of the prettier sights, some of the higher elevations. But anyway, we'll take y'all along for the ride and see what we can see. Look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Love these places. Love these places. Anyway, we'll see you up there. Little buck right there. Raw Gypsy, Not Quite Hippie, coming at you. We are up at the Rocky Mountain National Park. Stopped off on a little trail here, and I thought that maybe I would share my story with you while we're up here hiking. Angie and Abby are eating lunch actually, and so I found me a little quiet spot up here. Of course, the main highway, or the highway through here, is not too far from here, so you can hear some cars. But yeah, I just wanted to tell my story for those of you that don't know. I'm 47 years old. I am a raw vegan. Married to my beautiful wife Angie, and I met her in December 31st, 1987. Been together ever since, and we have 4 kids. Casey, Katie, John, and Abby. And we have 7 grandkids. We have Jackson, Rosie, Lawson, Aubrey, Madeline, and then Nate and Katie. And so yeah, we're grandparents, and we love it. We absolutely love it. And I joke and tell people that I'm not even halfway there yet. So I'm 47. I haven't hit 50. When I hit 50, I'm halfway, because I plan on living to 100. But my story is it's a little crazy. I started off. We lived in Louisiana, which was the sportsman's paradise, down here in the lower 48, and grew up eating a standard American diet. Lots of milk, lots of cheese, lots of burgers and fries and processed foods, whatnot. But at the age of 6, 1978, my second grade year, the beginning of my second grade year, I became very, very sick. Very nauseous, throwing up, diarrhea, and my parents thought that maybe I had some sort of virus. So they took me in, got me checked out, wound up being put in the hospital because of dehydration. Was very sick, and I was able to get out of the hospital once I got to feeling better. It took me it took about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks in the hospital, and that's what kind of threw the doctors off. They didn't know what was going on and why this virus lasted this long. So I got out, I went home, and come to find out, the reason why I got better was because I was fasting. Basically, I was eating Jello, popsicles, things like that, anything I could keep down. And so I went home, and about a week and a half later, it came back with a vengeance. I mean, bad. By that time, my stomach had become distended. My liver and spleen was very enlarged. I looked like I was 9 months pregnant, is what my mom said. I was very skinny, real thin, looked like one of those Ethiopian kids. Anyway, while I was in the hospital, they did some tests on me and realized that my liver enzymes were very elevated. And they thought that I may have had liver cancer. So they tested me for liver cancer. The only way they could do that was to do a bone marrow test. So they did a bone marrow test on me. For those of you that are not familiar with a bone marrow test, it's pretty excruciating. They have to drill through my hip. So a doctor came in with 2 nurses. The nurse gave my mother a little black rubber thing, told me to put it in my mouth and bite down on it as hard as I could. And so she did. She put it in my mouth. She covered my head, cradled my head, whispered in my ear, and they started drilling. And it was excruciatingly painful. All I could do was scream while I was biting down. So it was rough. It was very rough. Thankfully, it was not liver cancer. They were going to do exploratory surgery on me to try to find out what was going on. And before they did that, they sent my blood work off to a person over at LSU Medical Center in Shreveport. And this doctor looked at it first and noticed that my cholesterol was off the charts high. And that was very abnormal for a kid of 6. So then they did some more tests, and they looked in my arteries, and my arteries were clogged. I had atherosclerosis, and they said it was comparable to a 70-year-old man. It was so bad. And that really threw them for a loop. They had no clue what was going on. And so later, they came to the conclusion to do more testing on me and found out that I have a genetic disorder called familial hypercholesterolemia. And that basically is a really big word that means genetically I'm predisposed to not get rid of cholesterol. It doesn't dissipate like it's supposed to, and my liver creates way too much. So their thoughts were to put me on a very strict low-fat diet. So they did that, and I ate very low-fat, egg beaters. My mother bought the leanest beef she could find, which was expensive at the time, and she would cook it and then wash it, weigh it, make sure that it weighed a certain amount. And I mean, they really watched it. And I ate that way for about 4 years. In my 6th grade year, the doctors told my parents to come to me And now granted, they told my parents at the beginning, they said if he kept eating this way, that I would be extremely lucky not to have a heart attack by the time I was 16 years old. 16. They said I would be lucky to not die of a heart attack. So I went on the diet, and by my 6th grade year, I was 10, and I was well enough. They checked my blood work every month, to kind of keep an eye on it, and they determined that I was well enough to start eating regular food again. So a little bit at a time. So I did that. I started implementing a little bit at a time, and I got to the point to where I would just eat. And thankfully, it was a blessing and a hindrance. But I could tell when these flare-ups would come back up, I would get really sick. My stomach would start hurting really bad, almost pushing out underneath my rib cage, which is my liver getting bigger. And I would slow down, and I would go back to eating low fat again, and it would go away, and then it'd come back, and it'd go away. And I did this for a while, on up until my later years. So I got married, had kids, dealt with this on and off for years. And so fast forward to 2013, my dad, we were visiting my parents who were living in Elm Grove, and I was visiting them, and he was startled by a snake in the house, and I was helping him move some stuff, and we found a copperhead in the house. Well, he started breathing really fast, really fast, and I thought, well, oh my gosh, is he hyperventilating? So I gave him a bag to breathe into to try to slow his, to give him some carbon dioxide to breathe back in to help him slow down that breathing, but that didn't help. So I gave him an aspirin. He threw the aspirin up, and I knew right then that was a sign of a heart attack. I had been through some schooling, some medical schooling as far as the heart, EKG, phlebotomy, and all that. I had went through schooling for that, and I knew the signs. So I got him in the truck, and we started heading to the hospital, and he was in the front seat breathing, fast, and then all of a sudden he stopped. He just stopped. He had slunched down, and I hollered his name, Dad. He didn't respond. I balled up my fist, and I hit him in the chest as hard as I could. He started breathing again. So, oh my gosh. So I got him to a rural fire department, and they got him in the truck and hauled tail to the hospital. And lo and behold, he was. They hooked him up to an EKG, and he had a STEMI, which this is what a STEMI looks like on an EKG. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a tombstone. So that really scares people when they have those. It's an ST elevated myocardial infarction is the word for it. For those who knows what that means, you know what it is. But anyway, it was bad. It was a bad heart attack. And they had to paddle him a couple of times on the way, got him to the hospital, paddled him there, brought him back, and they were able to get a stent in and save his life. And it was scary. It was very scary. But he's on statins now, and he's doing well, but he's still on medication and whatnot. So later that year, around November, I had a phone call. We had went up to go visit my new grandbaby who was born, Aubrey, and so we went up to go visit her, and we found out through a phone call on our way back home that my mother was having a gallbladder attack, an acute gallbladder attack, and that we needed to stop in and check on her. So we came through from Tennessee and into Louisiana. I spent the night, and got the phone call in the middle of the night that it was not a gallbladder attack. It was a mass that they had found on her pancreas. I knew right then it was bad. The mass was affecting her bile duct of her gallbladder and was not allowing it to release, and was causing a lot of pain. So we knew it was bad. That was the latter part of 2013, and then in November 2013, I believe she had some biopsy. No, December 2013, she had some biopsy done to see the extent, and we had went to go visit her on December the 31st, the weekend prior to New Year's, to give her Christmas presents and whatnot. And you know, that was she found out the next 2 days, I believe 2 days later, that it was stage 4. And she cut off all communication. She didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to get back on Facebook or anything. And they were trying to decide on how they were going to fight it. So her the very, I think 2 days later, my sister called me. She said that she was unresponsive. She had caused a blood clot. The pancreatic cancer had caused thickening of her blood, and her blood had clotted her lungs, and she was in bad shape. She was in real bad shape. So they took her to the emergency room. They were able to stabilize her. They put a forced air mask on her, and they waited. You know, they called the family and told the family to come on in, that her organs were shutting down. So we came in, and then we were with her. You know, and my mother had just recently, that Christmas, the week before, had just seen my newborn grandson Lawson, but had yet to see my newborn granddaughter Aubrey. She hadn't seen her yet, and so she they lived in Tennessee. So my brother-in-law Robert, he got with a friend of ours who worked with us, Paige, and she had some frequent flyer miles or something, and she got my daughter and my granddaughter a ticket to fly in. They flew in. My mother, they brought Aubrey in. My mother, she took the mask off. First she said, "Oh," and she took the mask off, kissed her. That was it. She closed her eyes, put the mask back on. She closed her eyes, and she never woke up again. She went into a coma. So we decided as a family to gather around and remove the mask and let her die peacefully, because every time we take the mask off, she should plummet. Her oxygen pulse ox would drop. So we decided to take the mask off. We all gathered around, and he took it off, and nothing happened. She stabilized. Her breathing. She stabilized, and she lived that way for another 2 weeks. Now, if you don't think that the body is perfectly designed to live, that is perfect evidence. You know, people ask me, Trey, what is she holding on for? What's going on? Why wasn't she passed yet? And I said, because your body, every cell in your body is designed to live, every one of them, and it doesn't want to die. We do our best to kill it. Whether it be from diet or environment or whatever, we do it, and it struggles. It does its absolute 100% best to live. So we stayed there for nights. My dad stayed there in the days, my sister, and 2 weeks went by, and I had to go back to Odessa and wrap some things up where I was working. My wife and I, we decided to leave, and I kissed her on the cheek, told her I was leaving, and I left. I got back to Odessa, and my sister called me like a day later, and she was dead. I wasn't there. So, went back to work. So I went back to work and I missed it. I missed her dying. I missed it. So when we came back, we had the funeral and laid her to rest and everything. But so that year, 2014, that was 2014. She died on January the 14th, I believe, and I believe it was the 14th, and a couple of weeks before my birthday. And so that year, I was not in good shape. I was in bad shape, physically, mentally, health. Spiritually, I was rough. I was not good. 2015 rolled around. I was about 295 pounds. I was very heavy. I'm 6'2", so 295 is, it's big. It's big. But I had been sick that whole year, colds, sinus infections and things like that. I was really sick and I couldn't shake it. Knee joints, I had knee surgery when I was in high school, blew out my knee. Always inflamed and could barely bend my knee past 90 degrees sometimes, it'd flare up. Back, just not feeling good. And then, so yeah, I wasn't feeling good, wasn't doing well at all. And sometime mid 2015, I got very, very sick. I started throwing up. My chest started feeling really funny. I didn't know what was going on. It kind of scared me. It really scared me. And my left arm went numb. My left leg went numb. And I told my wife, I said, you better get me to the hospital. You better get me somewhere quick. So we jumped the car. We hauled tail to the hospital. And I went to one of those little quick care clinics. I barely could make it out of the car. I got out, I stumbled. I walked in and I told them what was going on. They hooked me up, and I was in bad shape. They said that I had an incident. It wasn't a heart attack, full blown. It was a scare. It was a good scare. I didn't release any markers in my blood that would signal that I had a heart attack. But it was a good scare. So they told me I needed to see a cardiologist. They told me I needed to get put on statins immediately, and so I didn't do that either. I said, I knew my cholesterol. I knew my liver was suspect at best. The worst thing I could do is screw it up by putting it on statins. So I just didn't do that. So I had went into 2015 just doing what I always did, just go back to knowing what I knew how to do. And 2016 rolled around, and I wanted to get in shape. I had enough. There's no telling how much I weighed at that point. I didn't lose any weight. I probably gained weight. I probably was closer to 305. Who knows? But my last weight was at 295 when I was sick. My cholesterol was at 305. Y'all, 305 is rough. 200 is the max they want you at. Mine was at 305. It was bad. So I wanted to lose some weight. I found this guy on YouTube. His Instagram YouTube channel was Fat Meets Fire. He lost a lot of weight, worked out. He was a Louisiana boy. And then I found he was friends with a guy named John Glaude, I believe his name was. And he was a big boy. He had lost a lot of weight. So I was impressed with their befores and afters. And then so I started looking into, okay, well, what can I do to get in shape and whatnot. And my looking through that, I found these two guys, John Venus and Brian Turner, and they're bodybuilders. They were friends with these guys, and I thought, they're bodybuilders, and then they're vegan also. I didn't know that was even possible. That's what I needed. But anyway, so I started following them. And I remembered back when I was in school that my instructor told me that if I ever wanted to remove cholesterol from my diet, or cholesterol without taking statins, would be to go on a vegan diet. And I thought, you mean vegetarian? And she said, no, vegan. You got to get rid of all animal products, everything, cheese, everything. I said, no, I can't do that. I couldn't give up my cheese So anyway, I saw these two bodybuilders doing it, and I thought, wow, okay, wait, so you can get protein? How in the world are they doing this? So it got me turning, got my wheels turning, and so I started looking more and more into it. I decided, that's it. I'm gonna go vegan. I can do this. So I went home that day, cleared out my pantry, cleared out my refrigerator, my freezer, everything, anything that had animal products in it, threw it away, it was gone. And I never bought anything else. That was April of 2016, so it's been 3 years. Now, 2 weeks after that, a little over 2 weeks after that, my daughter had a wedding back in Louisiana, and I was going to their wedding, and I asked them, I said, what are y'all serving? They're serving brisket for their wedding, barbecue and brisket. Brisket is my favorite food ever on the planet. You talk about a test. I was being severely tested. So I said, okay, all right, I can do this. People were telling me, hey man, it's just one meal, man, it's just one day, just cheat. You can go back onto it later. No. Well, by that time I had lost about 15 pounds. Look at this picture here. That was me at the wedding in the white. Okay. At 280, I had lost 15 pounds, and then so I survived that. I went through that and didn't cheat. And 2 weeks after that, I believe, I had my blood work done again. So it was a little over 4 weeks. When I had my blood work done again, my cholesterol was at 147. 147. That's ridiculous. I had no medication. I have a genetic disorder, okay? And I controlled my cholesterol from 300 to 147, 150, whatever, 147 with a diet. It took me 4 years, y'all, 4 years to get it normal on a low-fat diet. It took me 4 weeks, a little over 4 weeks, to get it on a plant-based diet. That's proof in the pudding right there. So I knew it was working. So so then that was in 2016. 2017 rolls around, and I start doing during 2016, I was really trying to get clean, and I come across these people, these two ladies, Fully Raw Kristina and Alyssa with Raw Food Romance. They are both raw vegans. Fully Raw Kristina has a great healing story. She was pre-diabetic, and her story was absolutely incredible. Her food is ridiculously beautiful. I mean, look at this. Alyssa with Raw Food Romance, her food, she's an artist, so she takes great pictures, and her food was absolutely beautiful and so easy to follow. Her before and afters were just amazing. And so I thought, man, I'd love to do this raw thing. This just, this looks like the way I'd like to go. This is very clean, and I couldn't get myself to do it. I could do a little bit, and then I fall off. Then I do a little bit, and then I fall off. So we'll fast forward to that was through 2016 and 17, and then 2018, I stumbled across this cat. This guy, Nathan Maris, Raw Natty Nate. This guy is a fireball, y'all. I mean, here's a dude who has an incredible story. It really resonated with me. I watched his YouTube video where he tells his story, where he's sitting by a little campfire, a little fireplace in his cabin, and he's telling his story. And when he was a little boy, he's 7 years old, he catches a fish, and his uncle tells him, "Come on, we gotta go clean the fish." And he's so excited, and he's wondering, why are we cleaning a fish? It just came out of the water, And of course, then they gutted it, and that traumatized the kid, which it should have traumatized us all, And I thought back, why didn't I get traumatized when I hunted or fished? And I probably did. I just chalked it up to that was the way it was. We were told, that's the way it is. Just push all those thoughts back down. But you stop and think about it. When we watched Bambi as a kid, who didn't cry when Bambi's mom got killed? There's no kid, cheered when Bambi's mom died and said, "Yeah, good shot, yeah." When Dumbo's mom was taken away from Dumbo, and that, if you don't get choked up for that, hell, I'm 47 years old and I still get choked up about it. The Dalmatians, 101 Dalmatians. I mean, if you didn't think that it was wrong for Cruella de Vil to skin a bunch of dogs and make fur coats out of them, if you thought that was wrong then you're pretty much almost there now. It's ridiculous. you know, the way that we compartmentalize, you know, cows and pigs and foxes or minks or whatever, but dogs and cats and domesticated cats, and you know, they're ours and we're okay. You know, we don't want to mess with those. You know, we don't want to mistreat those, which we shouldn't. We shouldn't mistreat any of them. But it's kind of hypocritical to say one or the other. So yeah, Nate's story, I resonated really hard with him, and I realized that a dude can be raw. And so then I started finding other people too. And who else? The Raw Advantage, Chris Kendall with Raw Advantage. You know, these are guys who are in great shape, can eat raw foods and live very healthily. And so this was 2018. I started going a little hardcore, more into it, and then lo and behold, man, 2019 rolls around, and I started going raw. And I haven't, you know, it's been one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. I went from 295 at my highest to 220 at my lowest. Or actually, no, take that back. My lowest was 217, which is in this picture right here. So I actually dropped down to 73 pounds. I went back up a little bit. I fluctuated back and forth, but you know, overall, I've lost 70 pounds on this. And I have not had my knee swell up one time since then, not once in 3 years. No joint pains. So yeah, I mean, I very seldom ever get sick, ever. And it's you know, I don't have to take medications. I don't have to take statins, and I should, and I don't. It's very relaxing. It's a weight off my shoulders that I don't have to worry about. And when you stop and you think about the different diseases, the leading cause of disease, y'all, chronic diseases, is heart disease. It's the #1 killer. And diabetes and cancer are, you know, right close behind. And these are all, especially type 2 diabetes, and like 95% of the cancers that are out there are self-induced or are induced by our environment, what we eat, what we do. So you know, there's things that are in our control. But heart disease being the one, it's been scaring me since I was 6 years old, and I don't even fear it anymore. I don't even think about it. And coronary artery disease is only caused by one thing, and that's fat. It's cholesterol. And animals, anything that has a liver creates cholesterol. Anything. Plants don't create cholesterol. So it's an easy decision for me. Easy. Type 2 diabetes. It's fat. It's fat, y'all. It's not sugar. It's not a sugar problem. It's a fat problem. Type 2 diabetes is nothing more than insulin resistance. Your muscle cells will not allow glucose to enter into it to feed it, because it's encapsulated by fat. You remove the fat, the insulin comes in, opens it up, glucose goes in, feeds it. It doesn't float around in your bloodstream anymore. And you can control your fat. You can control your diabetes. It's that simple. So it was an easy decision for me. And the community is absolutely stunning. They're stunning. I mean, there's folks out there like Dr. Brooke Goldner with Goodbye Lupus. This lady healed herself of lupus, y'all. Check her story out. Her and her husband Thomas Tadlock. Super people. The Ask Nurse Kristin Maack, and her husband Adam Knackers, just absolutely charming, just super people. Good friends of ours now, and helped us along the way when we first started out. Nate and Lissa, Raw Natty Nate and Lissa with Raw Food Roadmans, they're getting married, y'all, this year, August the 24th. Congratulations, you guys. Love you guys. Linda Maris, which is Nate's mother, Live Love Raw is her handle, and she healed herself of kidney cancer, both kidneys. She had one removed, the other one had stage 4, and they told her to remove it. Now she went on a raw food diet. She don't have kidney cancer anymore, y'all. Who else? Gosh, I know I'm forgetting some, but you know, there's so many. But it's the community that's so awesome, and they're so helpful. The Raw Outlaw, Megan, this chick. She is a marathon runner, ultra marathon runner, and she's raw vegan, y'all. She super. And her friend, Texas Fruitarian, she's in this picture here. She healed herself of multiple sclerosis with a raw food diet. Multiple sclerosis. So, sorry, my hat's crooked. So yeah, the community is strong. It's so strong. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And, yeah, that's my story, guys. And I'm sorry if it took a little long. Sorry if I got a little upset with talking about my mother. I miss her. And it's an interesting one. And I'm more than happy to share it. More than happy to share it. You know, people wonder, golly, Trey, you know, how did you ever become vegan, you know? And you know, you lived in the South, you know, you lived in the sportsman's paradise. Didn't you hunt? Didn't you fish? Yeah, I did. But you know what? I'm also pro-life. I'm also pro-life and Christian. Pro-life means I respect and will fight for every life, not only a baby in the womb, but a cow. You know, that creature's life is just as important as a baby's life to me. You know what I mean? It's every life is special. God created this beautiful planet. He gave us life. He gave animals life. He breathed life into us. He breathed life into them. He created this beautiful place, and he gives us one planet, one body, and we tend to destroy it. I don't know why, but we do. And he gave us every single tool to make it right. And we can make it right. We can do it. You know, everybody is a statistic. Everybody. And like I always say, if you're going to be one, if you're going to be a statistic, please be a good one. Be a good statistic. Be one of those. Inspire. Lift people up. Share. Do the research. The answer's there, y'all. It's there. Anyway, that's my story. What I got going on, I got my Instagram channel, Raw Gypsy Not Quite Hippie. You can find me on Facebook, Trey Byerjean, or Raw Gypsy Not Quite Hippie. I have this YouTube channel, which I'm trying to get kicked off, and so please like, share, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that little bell so you get more updates. And then I got my podcast coming out. I just did my first podcast. It was a story, a little more condensed version, and I just did my first interview with Raw Natty Nate, which I'm super excited about. I got some others lined up. Lissa's lined up, a couple others, and yeah. So just super excited about that. Raw Outlaw. Richard Arsenal, also great guy, man, super guy. I did a podcast with him. I got one coming up with him. So the community's strong, and so we'll be looking forward to seeing you out there, man. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to my hike and go look at Bear Lake maybe, or go up to as far up as we can go. Some of these roads are closed, so we'll see what we can find. But anyway, peace out, guys. Love you. Fixing to run up to Bear Lake. We've been there before, but not any time this time of year, or not at this time of year, so I'm gonna go there first and see what's up. So, see y'all there. incredible. We went from 39 degrees to what, 60 something here, so from cold to hot. Anyway, we're here, and now we can relax and enjoy the rest of the day, and maybe take tomorrow off and recoup and get ready to start the week all over again. So anyway, like I said, I hope everybody enjoyed the little trip and my story, and hope to see y'all soon. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all take it easy, bud. Love you.